You did good. Oh, she's got a chip on her shoulder today, really bad. Ooh! You can't stop me. That's called The Sun.
Hi, my name is Melissa and I'm a professional soul singer. Today we're going to be discovering...
Yes!
Well, hey there, my dudes. Welcome back to another Soul Singer Discovers. It's a very sunny day here in Scotland, and whilst I'd love to have the windows open, unfortunately, someone across the street appears to be digging up the foundations of their house. So I am now officially melting. And I know some of you are from countries and states that are incredibly hot all the time, but I refuse to acknowledge your place where you live that is over 30 degrees. No, that's called the sun. Today on Soul Singer Discovers, we're going to be discovering something particularly new, but before we do, it's time for another Metalhead Musings. Today's Metalhead Musings comes from the lovely Jo, who also recently became a patron. Thank you, Jo, for your support and love. I did a video on Judas Priest and I made fun of someone who got very triggered by the fact that I mentioned, 17 seconds, the fact that Rob Halford was gay. And how I enjoyed that because it was adding a new narrative to metal music. Call back the horses, there's no need for any of us to do any more work. Jo's done it for us. Does it matter that Rob Halford is gay? Yeah. It nearly ended his career when it came out and caused a huge homophobic backlash and split the metal community. It's been a central focus of his act since, and he's ridden back to the top of the metal scene in defiance of the haters. It's a huge part of who he is and the music he makes. He has faced it unapologetically and become an inspiration to many. The shitstorm that he weathered is beyond my comprehension. Even as a straight man, I have to admire his balls. If he wasn't gay, he'd be a legend, but not a hero. It matters. I genuinely got a bit choked up there. I banged my mic and everything and I'm not even going to edit it out. Just that last line, Jo, it's beautiful. Some of you might call that virtue signalling. Some of you might call that virtual signalling. But you know what? Suck my ass. Today, I will be discovering a patron's choice. Oh yeah. Today's patron's choice comes from Cameron, and Cameron has asked that I do something that I haven't done yet, which is to discover a singer who is covering a song and making it metal. There you go. That's creativity, folks. That someone happens to be Jonathan Young. But Cameron has assured me that his vocals are going to blow my mind. Cameron, that's a big ask. I've just done Judas Priest. But let's get into it. I very much am from the school of, I don't think there's anything wrong with covers. I do realise that there are some musicians and or listeners out there who are, for want of a better turn of phrase, snobby as about the idea of people doing covers. But you know what? If it's good enough for people like, I don't know, Stevie Wonder, Pat Martino, Tom Waits, Sidney Bechet, Aretha Franklin, Miles Davis, you know what? It's good enough for me too. I don't really know where the whole snobbery, elitist behaviour around covers comes from. And I don't care if you listen to Britney Spears or you listen to Michael Brecker. The fact of the matter is, one man's finger painting is another man's Van Gogh. So it's art, people. It's subjective. That ran over. Let's get into it. Jonathan Young, Poor Unfortunate Souls. Boop.
I admit that in the past I've been a nasty. They weren't kidding when they called me, well, a witch. But you'll find that nowadays I've mended all my ways. Repentance seen the light and made a switch. True? Yes. I fortunately know a little magic. It's a talent that I always have possessed. And lately, please don't laugh, I use it on behalf of the miserable, lonely and depressed. Pathetic, poor unfortunate soul. beefing that one wants to get the girl, and do I help them? Yes, indeed. Poor unfortunate souls, so sad, so true. They come flocking to my cauldron, crying spells, Ursula, please, and I help them. Yes, I do.
Pause. Oh, Jonathan. Okay. I mean, he has a great voice. I was under no illusion. If you're on YouTube and you're making covers of other people's songs, especially very famous ones, and I noticed when I found the video that it had something crazy like 6 million views, you're probably going to be a good vocalist. That's not to say that a lot of views makes you a good vocalist, for sure, but there's a high chance you're going to be good. It's very rich at the moment. I'm sure that's going to change, but it's very... He's using those yawning muscles that you use when you want to have a lower timbre. The performance is I will say this. The performance is very theatrical, natch, and it's very dark and maniacal. Oh dear. So, of one of the residencies that I run in Glasgow, I run a night in a gay bar in Glasgow called Broadway Babies, where we sing musical theatre songs. We're basically just trying to be Marie's Crisis in New York, except we're trashy and we're in Glasgow. And I will say, I sing Poor Unfortunate Souls once a week, at least once a week. Cameron could not have known this. And I think from all the singers I've watched do Poor Unfortunate Souls, I do think you have to play Poor Unfortunate Souls subtly, as sort of like nonchalantly pretending you're not evil. Jonathan's went for a completely different vibe. He's seen the pool of evil and dived straight into the deep end. I support it. Let's keep going.
Now it's happened once or twice. Someone couldn't pay the price, and I'm afraid I had to rake 'em across the course. Yes, I've had an odd complaint, but on the whole, I've been a saint to those poor unfortunate souls. Well, the men up there look like a lot of blubber. They think a girl who gossips is a bore. Yes, on land it's much preferred for ladies not to say a word. After all, my dear, what's idle prattle for? Come on, they're not all that impressed with conversation. True gentlemen avoid it when they can. They don't intune in phone on a lady who's withdrawn. It's she who holds her tongue who gives a man. Come on, yo!
Pause. The instrumentation that's going on in the background, I really liked at the start. It felt very groovy. Yes, I am going to use Ash from the Evil Dead saying groovy as a cutaway again.
Groovy.
You can't stop me. I wonder if this instrumentation in the background has been programmed, like it's plugins. I'm really not great at spotting the difference sometimes between programmed electronic drums and live drums in a metal setting. If you give them to me in a soul setting, I can hear the difference really quickly. Saying that, some programs are becoming so clever that it's really hard to spot. I'm going to go on a limb and say he's probably programmed these. Is Jonathan Young actually composing all of the metal pieces? I believe he is. It's one thing to be a really great vocalist, but to add into the mix the ability to write and arrange is always a lovely one to me. I support it wholeheartedly. In fact, if you are a singer, I strongly suggest metal, soul, it doesn't matter. Learn an instrument and learn how to write. Because unfortunately, as a unfortunately, a lot of people have a weird thing about singers, that singers are just singers, and that singers don't carry equipment and have a bad attitude. If you want to get away from that, make sure that you're incredibly skilled it's one of the few ways to be treated with respect by your musical peers, which is bullshit. You shouldn't have to go above and beyond just to be taken seriously by someone who's mediocre. But this is the bullshit we live in, people. Oh, she's got a chip on her shoulder today, really bad. Ooh! Yeah, I think this is impressive. It's impressive because metal music is not a simplistic music. It'd be one thing if he were doing, I'll say it, Poor Unfortunate Souls as a soul cover would be fairly straightforward. You would need a damn good singer, but the actual arrangement in the background would be fairly straightforward. Metal's just not like that. Metal's just so much more, complex. Let's keep going.
Unfortunate souls, go ahead, make your choice. I'm a very busy man, you know I haven't got all day. It won't cost much, just your voice. Poor unfortunate soul, it's sad, but true. If you want to cross a bridge, my sweet, you've got to pay the toll. Take a gulp and take a breath and go ahead and sign the scroll. Find some gentle now, I've got her boys, the boss is solo. We face poor, unfortunate
Well done. And that, the bit at the end, that that he switched to, he mixed it beautifully, and if you go back and watch it, you'll see that he changed his articulation. I'm always moaning on about it, but it became very long and a little bit wide and a little bit bite down and and yeah. I'll be honest, if Jonathan had just stayed in that very low, it happened once or twice, down there, if he had just stayed down there for the whole song, I would have been happy with that. And this is something else. I think some people get a bit like, if singers don't sing incredibly high, they're not good singers. Bullshit. Great singers are great singers. It doesn't. Their range matters not a There's so much swearing in this video. It just doesn't. And going lower requires the same muscles as going higher. So, and I really thought the low end of his voice was very rich. Although it was very impressive that he did that beautiful mix note at the end. It wasn't falsetto, it was mix. And mixing is a much more technically difficult thing to do than just doing. It would be the difference between him going ma and going ma, which just wouldn't have had the same impact. Really well done. Thank you for that, Cameron. Cameron, you did good. What do you think about covers? What do you think about Disney? What do you think about this cover? Do you like Jonathan's voice? Do you enjoy his interpretation? Do you think these drums are programmed? I really struggle. I struggle. Not to say that either one's better or worse. Let me know in the comment section. As always, thank you for watching and thank you for all your beautiful comments. I am working my way through them slowly. I feel like I'll be able to get finished roughly in 2029. There's so many. They're lovely, but there's so many. Thank you again to my patrons. Thank you, Cameron. Until next time, my dudes, go forth and enjoy some Disney.